What's going on, guys? Graham, Jason Matthews here, back with another exclusive interview. Today, we're talking to one of my favorites from New Rockstars. He has a very extensive acting career and a fellow wrestling fan. We got a lot to talk about here today. Tommy Bechtold. Tommy, what's going on, dude? Thanks for doing this.
Hey, Graham, thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
And we talked about this about a week ago, and I just told you right before we started recording here, but I've been following you on New Rockstars for only really about the past year. And that's where I think a lot of people know you from. But if you really look into your credentials and everything you've done, you've been around, dude, for a long time, doing a lot of cool stuff. You've been on The Middle, Jimmy Kimmel Live, doing a lot of different acting and movie and TV projects and whatever. And I think people who just watch you on New Rockstars don't know of all the other stuff that you've done. Maybe I'm alone, but I just know that there's so much more. Before I started talking, I was looking at stuff that you've done. I'm like, damn, you've done a lot of cool stuff, dude, which is awesome.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I think the thing about it is that a lot of the acting stuff I've done, they have me in wigs and makeup and stuff like that. So people don't think it's me, or even on The Middle, like the first 2 years I was on the show, they never even showed my face. So it's
Really? Okay.
It's like it was like a Wilson character from Home Improvement.
Yeah,
date myself too much, but yeah, no, I think it's cool. I love when people from New Rockstars discover the older stuff that I've done. I think I like it. I don't mind if people. If their discovery of the things I've done comes in waves, that's fine with me.
I mean, it's funny too, because for those who know you from New Rockstars, like my initial familiarity with you is you doing like the Blue Chew commercials for like Rogue
Yes.
Theory and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then seeing you do like all this other stuff. I gotta say before we go any further though, with like, I know there was a reads and whatnot, but like on the show itself, like when you guys come up with the summarize your theory in 140 characters in a tweet, do you come up with that stuff like off the bat? Because this stuff that you say on the show is so like, it's so funny. Like, how did you come up with that on the spot? Like, how does your mind work?
I do try and make it up on the spot because it's not as good if I rehearse it.
Mhm.
Ironically, if I practice or think of something, I'm way more likely to stumble over the words.
Yeah.
Whereas if I just do like a stream of conscious, and I think that's just like a lucky thing of having a pretty good memory and being able to like kind of come up with words off the top of my head. A lot of it is the skills that I think I learned from doing improv when I was younger, and just being able to be kind of present in the moment and being like, all right, now I got to say something. And luckily people are entertained, because it could go wrong too, so I could say something horrible or something, but so far so good. It's funny. I think people who only know me from New Rockstars think I'm a crazy person. they're like, this dude just sits in his room doing podcast ads and yelling about superheroes having sex with each other. But there's so much more to me. I also yell about superheroes going to the park together, or superheroes going grocery shopping together. So you just gotta listen for those moments, I guess.
Exactly. Yeah, no, it's great. Like, and like you said, like the amount of content you guys cover on the channel and the stuff that you've been a part of. I mean, just recently you and Jessica were doing Net Rogue 3 Big Question together the last 2 weeks. Something like that. Like, obviously you guys are putting it together. The video goes out on Tuesdays. Does that take a lot of takes to do, or is that just a one shot? We'll do it. How much stuff do you have to edit out of these episodes?
Well, I have to give all the credit in the world to the editors for, because we just roll for like an hour and 10 minutes, and they'll cut out or leave in or amplify with a graphic anything that really sticks out to them. But the thing about like the videos for New Rockstars is they really are an effort of a bunch of people. I mean, we do some researching on our own, and like, depending on the project, it's kind of up to us, but we have great researchers and writers that like will give us the bullet point sentences and stuff that we're going to say. And then once we record, that's obviously super fun. And someone like Jessica is an amazing partner to be able to banter back and forth with. But then the editors take it, and it's like, I don't know what they're just whatever they're being paid, it's not, I mean, it could never be enough. I think they're definitely the secret sauce of all of our videos. Is how talented they are, and how instinctive they are about creating funny moments out of almost just like non sequiturs or just asides, and they'll throw the perfect graphic or whatever segue. But really, I think that's what makes that's what kind of sets our videos apart. I think is just the team effort and the way everyone works in synergy like that. That's just so it's so impressive to me.
Yeah, no, same here. I mean, I know the shows are also available in podcast form, but I always make it a note to watch the actual videos because like I haven't checked out the podcast itself, but like you said, with the graphics and the references and like the video clips like interspliced in or something like that, or like if you're singing, they'll put something over it or whatever.
Right.
I don't know if that stuff is on the podcast or is that exclusive to the video? Do you know? Or
I actually haven't listened to the podcast. Don't kill me, but I will say I do watch a fair amount of new Rockstars content I'm not in. I don't like to watch myself, but like if I need to understand something, I turn to Eric. I don't know. Eric Voss is such a genius about stuff, and same with Philip. Like it's like I watch those videos just along like anybody else. Like what was when WandaVision came out, I was like, I need some help here. And those videos were so helpful. And again, with the graphics, they really just make it so digestible and entertaining. So it's nice. I mean, if you're a real fan of that type of content, it gives you an extra like 45 minutes worth of stuff to watch every week.
It does, exactly. So I literally make it a point to watch whatever it is, because I know you guys were doing the Mando reviews a couple of months ago, you and Eric, WandaVision. Now they're doing Falcon Winter Soldier with MT and Eric. And it's another like hour of stuff to watch, like from the breakdown. And that's not even including like the Easter eggs and stuff like that. You know what I mean? It's just continuous daily content, but it's always great stuff. Going back a little bit before we go any further with new rock stars and wrestling and stuff like that, you talked about your background in improv.
Yes.
Have you always had like a knack for like comedy and stuff like that? Because again, love the channel, love everyone on the show. You're legit like like I love Eric and all those other guys. You are the reason, like my girlfriend's brother, he watches new rock stars too. I didn't even get him into it. He was already watching the videos, but he goes, today's video has Tommy in it. I got to check it out. You're always the funniest guy on the show, you know?
That's so nice. I really appreciate that. Thank you. I did everything I could to resist pursuing any sort of comedic career when I was younger. I didn't do any plays or anything in high school, didn't do the improv club, just refused to. I don't know what. I mean, I always played sports and I was like, I'm not doing that. I can't justify it in my idiot. I should have. I really, it's one of my big regrets is that I couldn't get over myself. But I guess I was too self-conscious. I thought like, oh, I'll look silly. So I went all the way through 3 years of college and was like kind of losing my mind. I was going to go to school to be a teacher, which would have been a great career, but it wasn't. I just didn't have the passion for it. So literally I answered a Craigslist ad to audition for this like local sketch comedy show in Rochester. I remember I went in and they were like, prepare a comedic monologue. And this was this is my first attempt at like really doing anything in what would be considered an artistic field. And I did the grace scene from Talladega Nights where they're like, dear Lord, baby Jesus or whatever.
Yeah.
So I go into that, I do that whole thing, and the guy who was running the show is like, what is that from? And I was like, oh God, the whole point of this is that you would know it. Otherwise that's not funny out of context. You have to know the whole context of the movie. Of course. So I guess what had happened is the other person that was with him explained to him that was funny. And then so they put me on the show, and that was kind of like, once I did that show and I made a few friends that were actual, attempting to be comedians and are comedians, then it was over for me. Then it was like my entire life became about comedy. So it just took a while, and it took me kind of getting over myself. But from there I went to LA and learned improv and all that stuff. So and the rest is, I guess, history.
When was the first time in LA that you went there?
So there's a school called Improv Olympic, which is out of Chicago, that is no longer in LA. They closed, unfortunately, but I went there to watch shows. I remember it was like the cast of The Office was doing improv. And it was like, I was a huge Office fan. Actually, ironically, that day I got coerced by Scientologists to listen to a 20-minute spiel on Scientology that ended up taking 2.5 hours. I knew I wasn't gonna join Scientology, but I was like, I'll hear. Okay, there was like 2 really cute girls, and I was like, all right, I'll hear you out. So they were like, just 20 minutes of your time, and like 2.5 hours later, I was like, I gotta go, guys. I gotta go to see this improv show. So I left Scientology for improv that day, and it was once I watched it, I was hooked. I was like, I've always been like, even though I wouldn't do even though I was too shy or self-conscious to do official comedy when I was a kid, I was always pretty funny, I think, or at least trying to be funny. I like to make people laugh. I really wanted to diffuse tense situations with laughter. So it was kind of, once I actually learned the rules and structure of it, it just became something that I loved even more. So
yeah. And during this entire process, is there anyone that you look to for inspiration that you kind of like model yourself after? Or is it kind of taking, I mean, I guess it's kind of with everything. Do you kind of take bits and pieces of like, okay, I like this from this comedian or this actor or whatever? Like, is there anyone that you kind of look to for inspiration or not really?
Well, it's interesting because depending on in comedy and in anything in the entertainment industry, I'm sure you probably know this too. It's like whatever you look like is what people want to make you be.
Yeah, so, great point. Yeah,
coming into LA as a bigger guy, all I ever got was Chris Farley. They're like, you're gonna be Chris Farley, and I'm not really a physical. I mean, I'm loud, but I'm not like whatever he did that was so genius to me was always so. That was like. That's him, like you've seen imitators of Chris Farley, and they're never as good. But the person that I also would always get compared to that I kind of resonated with was John Candy, because he was, a bigger guy with like, kind of a big red face like mine, but like, but he was so like kind of thoughtful, and like he could deliver some real layers to performances, and he could play, he could play a dad, he could play a like loser uncle, he could play, a befuddled cop. He could do like, I just looked to his career and I'm like, oh yeah, he didn't really let his appearance define him. He kind of played whatever the role called for. So I guess like in terms of in my acting career, he's someone I aspire to be like. And then just like, I think there's just the brain capacity of comedians like Conan O'Brien and Will Ferrell, where they're just like, they can turn the comedy on a dime. That was always my thing that I always try to do or strive to do, is be able to have the scene or whatever I'm doing be normal, and then just in an instant turn funny. And I think if you can do that, then you've got something.
Yeah, 100%. And it's so cool that you mentioned John Candy, because that was like, again, the first person that I thought of when I first got introduced to your work. Like just through your comedy alone, you gave off big John Candy vibes. And maybe it was just because I got done watching Planes, Trains, and Automobiles like earlier that day.
Movie.
Or Uncle Buck, great movie.
Yes. Oh yeah.
But yeah, it's just funny. Like, it's cool too. And at this point, like how many times would you say, again, like you said, you get the Chris Farley, comparison and stuff like that. At this point, like you said, it's not just like a size thing or whatever. It really is more of like doing your own style of comedy, kind of making it your own and stuff like that. Does that stuff still, is it a compliment to you still? Or is it like, okay, I'm trying to be the first Tommy Bechtold. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to be John Candy.
I think it's a compliment to me until it becomes like a pigeonhole. Like it's it's like, I always take it. I mean, anytime anyone wants to compare you to someone successful, you're like, you can have an ego and be like, no, I'm the first Tommy Bechtold and whatever. And that's, I don't know, that wouldn't work for me. That type of antagonistic thing. I've learned it. One thing I have learned over years is how to take a compliment and like not make the other person feel stupid for giving you. Because I remember when I used to first do improv shows and I was really tough on myself. I wanted to be the funniest. I wanted our show to be super funny. And if I had a show that I didn't think was like up to our caliber and someone came out to me in the bar afterwards and was like, hey, that was great, I'd be like, was it? And like, like, and what like, an asshole, shit, what a terrible person. And then you'd look on their face and they'd be like, oh, well, I guess I'm an idiot for complimenting you. And like, I just remember like very quickly learning, like, you can take a compliment. It's okay. You're not selling out by saying thank you for saying I had a good show. So yeah, I don't mind. Compare me to successful people all day. That's great. I'm fine with that.
In addition to that, I'm glad you brought that up. Is there any like one piece of advice, either that you've been given or that you've had that you kind of learned yourself that stuck with you throughout your entire career that's really helped you kind of get through tough times or really whatever it is? Is there any one piece of advice that kind of sticks with you?
I mean, the basics, especially in Los Angeles, of trust your gut is 100%, because you just kind of learn like at a certain point who's BSing you and who's like offering legitimate thing. But I would say practically the best advice I've ever learned is like, if you show up and deliver the thing that you've been asked to do, you are ahead of like 85% of the people out here, because this is a really flaky industry and a really people self-sabotage and get in their own ways. And it's like most of the work that I've gotten is on the back of previous work that I've gotten, and people then knowing I was a trustable commodity. Like, all right, well, if you hire him, he shows up on time and he delivers what he's saying he's going to do, and there's no weird X factor of like he's going to disappear or be moody or anything like that. It's all attitude. It really is. Like, you have to sell yourself. Not only, I mean, like, we can't all be like Mickey Rourke and like be like a really talented actor who also seems to be very like angry at everyone all the time. Like, you know, like, so most of us have to just be like pleasant. Like, so yeah, I mean, I think the advice that I learned was like, just follow through and you'll get hired again. And, you know, there's plenty of temptation to make excuses in this industry, and like, you're just only screwing yourself over by doing that.
And you just got to stay positive. Yeah. Like you said, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah. By the way, because you mentioned Mickey Rourke, this just kind of came to mind. Have you seen The Wrestler by any chance or no?
Yes, I love it. That was I saw The Wrestler. So when I joined the Screen Actors Guild, the union for actors, the one of the perks when you're like an actor who doesn't book anything and you're not, you know, you're just kind of in the union, is that you can see free movies. And The Wrestler was one of the first free movies I saw, or like screenings I saw with my SAG card. I remember going up to like the ticket taker and proudly presenting my card, and them being like, we don't care, just go in. Great. I could have showed them like a gas station rewards card, and they're like, got on it. But I loved that movie. I remember feeling very knowledgeable because I knew who was it, Ernest the Cat Miller was.
Yes,
he plays the Ayatollah in that movie. I was like, I know that guy from WCW back in the 90s. Like, but I loved The Wrestler. That was a great movie.
It's such a good movie. And there's so many notable faces in there too. I'm pretty sure, I haven't watched it back in a few years. I'm pretty sure Cesaro was in that movie too, back when he was in Ring of Honor. I think him. Oh man.
I guess it wasn't that. It was like 10 years ago, right?
Yeah, I mean, it feels like
I'm acting like it was like 1980. Cesaro was in Die Hard.
Exactly. Oh, I mean, to be fair, after the last year, it does feel like it was 3 years. You know?
You're right. There is a huge gap in our timelines.
Exactly.
We all got our own like blip. We all got our own dusting. Everyone dusted for a year.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody dusted for a year. It feels like forever ago. But yeah, no, that was a really good movie. But what I was going to ask you before I asked you about The Wrestler, do you have like a dream role, like something that you would love to do? I would love to do like an action movie or something like that, or do this on a TV show, or really whatever it is, because obviously you love what you do. And I guess it really, at that point, it becomes, I'll take whatever I'm given, do it with the best of my ability, and enjoy it regardless. But in addition to that, is there any one thing that you would still love to do at some point?
Yeah, that's a great question. I guess most of it is like, I'm grateful for whatever opportunity comes my way, but like, there's the cliche of like superhero movies, but like, I always wanted to play the like big lumbering third baseman in a baseball movie, or first, like the guy who's just like, and I'm almost aging out of it now, which is really sad to me, where it's like, oh God, I don't think realistically I could do that anymore. I'd love to be in a sports movie, and God, I mean, I would do anything to be in a Star Wars movie of some sort. Like, I don't care what I would be. I don't think I'm going to be fitting into the stormtrooper armor, but I would definitely be an alien, or like a guy sitting at a cantina bar. So
yeah. I mean, it would be worth it, like, again, for how critically trash, like, The Last Jedi was. It's still worth it to say that I was in a Star Wars movie, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm fine with, I have a couple of things that I can't say probably because I don't want to besmirch their names, but I have a couple of things I've done that are considered the worst of those things.
Yeah.
I was on the season premiere of a TV show, and it was like generally reviewed as the worst episode of that show ever in its entire run.
Yeah.
So I'm like, great, awesome. Well, that's no, and I'll say it's funny because that show was pretty big, and people barely ever say anything to me about it.
Yeah.
Of all the things that people will remember me from like little bit parts I did on like Disney Channel shows.
Yeah.
Or things like that. Every once in a while, if someone recognizes me or figures out where they know me from, no one ever mentions this show.
So it's not something you like heavily tell, like, hey, I was in the season premiere of the show, right?
No, and also you get to a certain point where you're like, oh, I don't have to announce my credits to people in conversation all the time. We're like, well, I did that or I did this. Like, they're like, we get it. We get it.
Yeah, exactly. You mentioned the sports stuff. Do you have a favorite sports movie?
Oh man, I have so many favorite sports movies just from different periods of my life. Like when I was a kid, I was really short all the way through my sophomore year of high school. So my family would give me Rudy, like on VHS, like every relative I had, starting on VHS and ending in DVD.
Yeah.
So I ended up with like 8 copies of Rudy from like aunts and uncles for like my birthday. They're like, he must love Rudy. He's short. He plays football. I loved Rudy. I love the first Major League.
I was gonna say, great movie.
Such a great movie.
Angels in the Outfield. I don't know if it's your
Outfield
favorite.
was a classic.
Yeah.
Little Big League was a great movie.
Such a good movie.
Rookie of the Year. Was
my God, you're throwing all my childhood movies out here. I was born in '95. So
Mighty Ducks. When were you born?
Now 95.
Oh yeah, okay. So you're a little younger than me, but yeah, but those would have come right into your your viewing habits, I'm sure. Mighty Ducks was the first movie I saw in theaters with
really?
friends.
That's awesome.
My parents let me have like a Mighty Ducks birthday party for like 5 friends when I was a kid. I'm trying to think. Oh, Little Giants. You ever see Little Giants?
You were literally naming off my entire VHS collection with my older brher who was born in '92. He's 3 years old, and we would watch these movies all the time. So it's funny.
And I think that's so. My family, I have 2 sisters, and we're all like, one older and a younger, and we're all like a year and a half apart.
Oh, okay.
So we were like
watching the same stuff.
We're babysat by movies, and they're both pretty sporty. So like we watched a lot of sports movies, and I'm trying to think of. And then when I got older, like I loved Moneyball when Moneyball came out. Sports movies for adults. And then I'm trying to think of recently if anything's come out that I was crazy about. But
I don't know.
I mean, I not a sports movie, but I just watched Ted Lasso on Apple Plus, and it's a sports TV show that I thought was pretty
Ted Lasso. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, it's about an American college football coach who goes to London to become a manager of a Premier League soccer club. Oh, okay. It's kind of like weirdly got a major league storyline. Like the owner is the ex-wife of the original owner, and she hires him just to screw over the team. Like she's like, I'm going to bring over in this American college football coach to run this team into the ground. But he's like, he's a really optimistic, good coach. It's a fun. If you have Apple TV, check it out.
I think I might. I got to check that out. Is there anything else actually on that same subject that you've seen recently or are currently watching that you would recommend that people check out that you're currently enjoying?
Let's see. It's so funny because I've been watching a lot of sports. So it's hard to like. I recommend March Madness. I recommend the NCAA tournament. No, what have I watched? Oh, I watched movie wise Barb and Star go to Vista Del Mar the other day. That was really funny. Kristen Wiig's new movie.
Oh, nice.
That was great.
Is that Netflix?
That's I think it's just on demand right now. It didn't but I'm sure it'll be on streaming soon.
Yeah.
I watched News of the World with Tom Hanks. That was a great movie. I like that. Hanks. If you like a solid Tom Hanks movie. But yeah, other than that, it's been, obviously I watched WandaVision, loved it. Snyder Cut was 4 hours. I was absolutely fine with. And Falcon and Winter Soldier's off to a great start. So we're in a really good time with our content. If you're into the nerd world, it's good things coming.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially after 2020 was like devoid of all that stuff because everything was put on hiatus and whatever, especially with Marvel. I mean, no movies came out the first time since 2009. It's wild. And now we're getting Black Widow, I think was announced the other day for July 9th, I think, or something. And then
Black Widow. Yep. And then Shang-Chi is coming out in October, I think.
October, okay.
And then
no, September. I think it's September.
And then is Eternals November or December?
Yeah, that's a lot in the span of a couple months.
Spider-Man is December still. They didn't move Spider-Man.
No,
right?
Yeah, they didn't move Spider-Man. So
there's 4 movies coming out this year because Eternals is also coming.
That's still coming out. That's still official.
Yeah,
I guess so. I mean, I haven't seen a single trailer for it, so it's hard to keep up. That's crazy. And then all the other TV shows, Falcon Winter Soldier right now, like you said, WandaVision just wrapped up, Loki, and then the What If show. Like you can't even watch almost anything else if you're a Marvel fan. You know what I mean?
It's crazy. Our lives are dominated by it. And I mean, easy for our lives. Eric Voss's life on New Rockstars' life is. They're gonna have to just like feed him through like a hamster tube and tell him just stay in his room and make content. But
in the Blue Dungeon.
That's right.
Yeah, no, there's just so much
miniature Blue Dungeon right here.
I was gonna say I recognize that from some of your videos. This is off topic, but kind of going off of that. Are we gonna be able to see any more movie reviews? I know you haven't done those in a little breakdowns? While. Yeah.
I think right now, because of the success of all the WandaVision content, they're like, the channel's focus is to do as much Falcon and Winter Soldier content. Plus, we still have Snyder Cut stuff to come out. Yeah. I think the way the bootleg breakdowns will be used, because they're kind of guilty pleasures. They're not like our biggest viewed videos. It's just as like gaps in our time, like around holidays when we have a lot of people going out, they can just let me loose to do my own thing.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping to do more of them. I really love them, but like they're keeping me busy with other stuff. So I'm fine with having that be a special type thing, like a holiday special. So yeah, I would say there'll be more, but I can't promise when they'll be. So,
yeah. Any movies off the top of your head that you're like, I would love to do a bootleg breakdown of this at some point?
Yeah. Oh man, there's so many. I've been wanting to do something in the trauma world, like Toxic Avenger or one of those movies. Just because they're kind of purposely bad, like not bad, but they're shot on such a shoestring budget with the intention of like the concession, rather, like we know a lot of this stuff is ridiculous. But what else? There's some other great ones. Like it's tough because some of the older really bad movies, Mystery Science Theater has just already basically done the equivalent of a bootleg breakdown. So it's like, a lot of people have asked me to do the like newer Fantastic Four movies, which those could be fun. The problem is like those are bad, but I guess not well received by fans, but they're not like,
it's not like fun to watch and make fun of. It's not like The Room.
Right. You gotta like there's a Nick Fury movie with David Hasselhoff that I gotta get my hands on, where he plays Nick Fury before they had changed Nick Fury to look like Samuel L. Jackson in the comics. But it's like him and I forget who else, but it's just called Nick Fury, director of S.H.I.E.L.D. And it came out, I think it was like a made for TV movie in 1998. That has to be bad. There's no way that's good, right? Like, I know, all respect to Hasselhoff, but like there's no way he was like a big Nick Fury fan, was like, we got to get this guy on screen, and I'm the one to do it. So I'm going to, that's on my list. And I mean, I just also there's so many movies that so many great suggestions I get. And I guess the thing I don't want to do is make fun of somebody's $25,000 passion project that they made with their friends. That's like never had a chance to be, received as a good movie. So it's like when someone will send me like, this movie was made in my hometown by this guy. It's I don't really want to roast this guy for, getting his act together and making a movie. So I got to find the sweet spot of like, you're right. Like movies like The Room and, other classic, like what the hell was going on in the making of this movie.
Stuff like that. In filming, not just bootleg breakdown, but in doing Rogue Theory, Big Question, all the other stuff, the Mando reviews a couple of months ago. Is there anything that you guys have recorded specifically on your end that you recorded that didn't make air? Like, what's the craziest thing?
Yes,
a lot you said that didn't make air.
Well, a lot of it is because we're just kind of free flowing in the conversation. We'll just start, and Eric and I especially, and Philip and I, we've been friends for so long that we'll just start trying to make each other laugh, and then all of a sudden you're like, wait a second, this can't go on. Like, it's like, I'm like going down, and I already like, I don't have a lot of like rules about how bad I look at it. Like, I'm like, you can go ahead, but I'll start like describing like murders and stuff that are like terrible crimes that I've committed. And I'm like, no, we got to cut that out. And luckily our editors are pretty good about it. Although I do think if I say cut that out, they always leave me saying
they always leave it in every time.
But there are some things where I can remember, like, kind of like, I think one time I was like roasting an ex-girlfriend of mine, and I was like, if by any chance she ever watches, she's gonna know I'm talking about her. We have to cut this out because I don't want to die. But yeah, I mean, there's stuff we cut out all the time. Like, most of it is just before either it doesn't match what we're saying, or a lot of times when I first started doing Rogue Theory, I was a little nervous because I hadn't quite been accepted by the new Rockstars fans yet. So I was really trying to do a good job with my theories. And it would be like that scene in Billy Madison when Adam Sandler is trying to answer the debate question on stage, and he talks for like
and
7 minutes, and the guy's like, that didn't make any sense. So I'll just like 5 minutes into my theory, I'll be like, none of this makes any sense. Well, yeah. So
at what point do you feel that you were accepted by the new Rockstars community? Because now you're like the fan favorite on the channel, aside from Eric Voss, it feels like. And again, everyone on the channel is great. All the videos are awesome. I think everyone is pretty well liked. But people have like you're a fan favorite in wrestling terms, so to speak, with the channel.
Well, I think that there are certain people on that subscribe to us that are never gonna buy into what I'm doing. But I think once the people were like, okay, he's not necessarily going to be a lot of thoughtful analysis on these topics, but he'll make it entertaining. Well, we get the analysis, like Eric is a very, very funny guy, but he takes the job very seriously, and he does an amazing job getting the information out. So I think once people started seeing that working together, they didn't take me as I was taking time away from Eric. They took it as, we are doing things together, and it makes the videos like more fun in a way to watch, or not more fun, but a different type of experience. Once people bought into that, and it didn't take long. I mean, the response was pretty positive, but there are still people that are like, they comment on every video, I wish this was just Eric. It's my favorite. My favorite comment is like, I wish this was just Eric, and I'm like, sometimes I do too, but it's but
or sometimes I wish it was just Tommy. So it goes both ways,
Right. And I think people, I just want whatever I do to be fun for people to watch. I don't, I know it's not like maybe the most thought-provoking stuff, or like, you're not going to be moved emotionally on any of it, but like, I don't know, we're talking about like guys flying into space and blowing up spaceships. Like, I think it should be an escape for people. Absolutely. Like, so that's always my goal, and I'm glad people are on board with it. I'm very grateful for that.
I think you're definitely successful at it. And obviously I'm biased in being a fan of yours, but I think anyone who takes the time to watch any video, whether it be a 45-minute Rogue Theory or a 10-minute, analysis featuring yourself or whatever it might be, it's just in a chance, exactly like you said, and a chance to escape, from whatever. And someone could be having the worst day, but just to laugh at your Blue Chew ad or something like that, like it's all worth it. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's cool.
Well, yeah, and the ads, once they said I could improvise on those, I was like, I'm just gonna make these fever dreams for people, because the ad reads, they're a bummer on anything. Like when I listen to podcasts, I don't get excited about the ad reads at the beginning.
Oh, no, it's the best part of the videos. It's the best part about it.
Oh God, a mattress? What? It's incredible. Vitamins, but once they identified the clients that we had that were like, we don't care what they say. Like, because there are some that like we have to read pretty much as written. Like,
that makes
sense, which I mean, like, listen, especially if they're promising something, you don't want to like mess with their like legal liabilities on things. But I don't know. The ad reads to me are fun, and no one else likes to do them. So that was like, this will be my time to shine.
It was Blue Chew's obviously become a big one recently that you've had the chance to read off. There was like a delivery one at one. I don't know if it was,
there was Sure Ship or Shipwright or something like that.
Yeah.
It was like that during the holidays that wanted to.
Yes, that's what
they wanted to handle all your shipping needs.
Yeah, that one was good too. And with
Thanks.
these videos, you've had the chance to host a lot of these Rogue Theories. Is that like a different dynamic too? Was that difficult for you when you first started doing it, or did it take to it like a duck to water?
No, the hosting part to me is ideal because then I don't have to look like an idiot with my theories. I can just like
There
I
you
can
go.
make everybody else. The only thing that's hard about that is you have to make sure you're dialed in and listening so that you can ask thoughtful follow-ups, because if like someone's going on and on about like, you know, who's going to be the villain in Guardians of the Galaxy 3 and you're like thinking about what you're going to have for lunch that day, and then they end abruptly, you got to be like, great. And
Next question.
yeah, my only follow-up is you did an amazing job.
Now, how many points do I give this person? Was it
Yeah, exactly.
theory,
So, so if you ever see me say that, you know that my mind drifted off to Josh Allen throwing a touchdown to Stephon Diggs. That's what I was thinking of in my head.
Yeah. Going off of that real quickly, you have the Buffalo Bills jersey in the background there. You're in LA currently. Do you ever wear the Bills jersey out in public? And if so, what are the comments that you get?
Absolutely. And they're overwhelmingly positive because the Bills are like the mascot of the NFL. They were such a downtrodden franchise for like 2 straight decades that like everybody, especially the last 2 years, is like has Bills fever. Like, go Bills. So the only negative jersey experience I ever had in LA was in 2008 when I had first moved here and the Celtics were playing the Lakers in the NBA Finals. I accidentally wore my Paul Pierce Celtics jersey out to go to the store. And I thought people were going to kill me because the Celtics had just beat the Lakers. And they were like, I'm like, why is everybody looking at me so negatively? And I was like, oh, right. Because I didn't mean to leave the house with it on. I just was wearing it and like left. And I thought I was going to get beaten for sure. But
it's like walking into a store without a mask right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. It was that level of disgust for sure. For sure. But the Bill stuff is pretty, And there's actually a couple of Bills bars out here where people, well, in times of non-COVID, people would meet and go and watch games. I actually may have made several of my good friends out here now just from watching Bills games with them. So
nice. Yeah, obviously the type of stuff unites everyone. So because sometimes it can be very toxic, like the reaction. Like for example, you could have the most amazing theory in one of these videos, but once they see you like say "Go Bills" or something, they're like, well, "Fuck this guy." You know what I mean?
Absolutely, and that's you can't. There's nothing you can do about Patriots fans. All right.
Exactly.
No, and you know what's funny is like I have a lot of friends from New England, so it's like it's part of my life is that they're just going to torture me forever. The Patriots can't hurt me anymore. Like they, for years
background change.
Oh, I like that. You're in Vegas now.
This is late Las Vegas. Yeah, I had this as a background. Yeah.
Beautiful. But there are people that are just not going to like what I say no matter what. And if it's because of the Bills, that's fine. If it's because of me, that's fine too. You can't win them. If everybody likes you universally, then I feel like then you're doomed. Something
exactly.
Happen, so.
Exactly. I was going to ask too, when you guys were talking about, like you were talking about the videos and the stuff that you guys do with that and the hosting and whatnot, or actually not just with New Rockstars, really anything with acting or anything you've done. Has there ever been a time where you've done something so funny that they actually had to stop filming, whether it be a video or again, whatever it is? Has that happened with you before or no?
Yeah, it has happened, and it's very hard to not get a huge ego about it because but I did a couple of improvised projects, a couple with Christopher Guest, who's famous for that stuff, for doing like the mockumentaries and the improvised stuff. But then I did a show for Funny or Die last year that was about camping, about people going camping. And it was me and this other actor named Dean Sharp, who was who's a brilliant improviser. And every once in a while, me and him would just get going, and you would see like the camera guy start to shake, and then you see the sound guy start to shake, and then you see the director start to shake, and then finally the director would just yell "cut," and we'd all laugh, and it's a great feeling. It's like it's like killing in a stand-up set, but like you're doing it professionally with cameras all around you. But it's nice. When you do it unintentionally, that's bad. A couple times on the middle, I would like blurt out the wrong line and people would start laughing because it wasn't my turn to talk. That's not as fun when there's people making millions of dollars around you. And they're laughing
at you at that point and not with you, and then it's like I don't like this very much. Right.
You don't want that feeling.
with everything you've done, and you mentioned how big of a fan of like The Office that you are, with everything that you've done, have you ever met someone, I don't know if it's like an idol or a hero or just someone that you really, really liked as an actor or just a celebrity or whoever that you met that you were starstruck to meet?
Yes. Oh, 100%. Harrison Ford.
Oh
I
shit.
did
Wow.
two sketches with him on Jimmy Kimmel Live,
Mhm.
and the first time they set us up, they're like, hey, you're gonna do the sketch, don't like expect to like meet him or have anything, like, there's not gonna be like a moment with you guys. So
Yeah.
the first time, so I had no expectations. I'm dressed ridiculously in like a Princess Leia outfit,
Yeah.
and my friend Jeff Loveness, who is now writing Ant-Man 3
No, nice.
and was a writer at Kimmel at that point, he's dressed like a Jedi, and
Mhm.
then there's a guy in a Chewbacca suit. So we all leave after doing the sketch, and like no interaction with Harrison Ford other than just the like basic. And then we get downstairs, and they're like, I think they're gonna take a picture of the four of you, and we're like, what? So I guess I don't know if he wanted to take a picture or he agreed, but he came over and he like shook all of our hands and like pulled me in, and he's like, you make a beautiful princess. And I was like, oh my god. I was
That's
dying. It
amazing.
was I likened it to like when you're a kid and you go to Disney World and you're a
Mhm.
huge Mickey Mouse fan, but then you see a giant Mickey Mouse walking around in real life and you're like just way too nervous to be around him. I
Yeah.
was terrified to be around him because he's Indiana Jones and he's Han Solo. Like
Yeah.
so I was definitely starstruck to meet him.
That's so funny. I feel like that happens with everyone when you meet someone that you've like grown up watching or like a favorite actor or something like that. Actually, in New York, days before COVID started about a year ago, they do something called the Big Event over there, which is like it has like a lot of wrestlers and stuff like that. They do it in East Elmhurst, like in the city and whatever. And the Undertaker was there. So,
Oh
and I got to meet the Undertaker, and I said
yeah.
something really stupid. It was like, I don't know, like I had met Matt Hardy right before that, and I'm friends with him. So we were talking about some random shit. So I asked him some like Matt Hardy related question. And it's one of those things like you've been to a ton of Comic Cons. Like
Yeah.
sometimes you meet these people and you only have literally like 5 seconds. Like you get
Yeah,
the picture,
absolutely.
you move on.
Mhm,
And I said
mhm.
something dumb. I'm like, I just met the fucking Undertaker, and I asked him like some dumbass question. And then he didn't even respond. We just took the picture, we shook
Yeah,
hands, and then we
yeah,
walked off. I'm like, why did I like this is
yeah.
the phenom that we're talking about here. You know what I mean?
I've been there though. I've been there, Graham. Trust me. I know there's just something in our brains that are like, we've got to be like, I've got to make this moment matter to him too, or
Yeah,
something. And it's like
absolutely.
you fire something away. Well, yeah, it's really funny. I've even been like that, like when I first moved here, and I would like be in like a circle with other comedians that were more successful than me. I'm like, I gotta get in with them. I gotta do the next like next big joke or whatever. Say
Yeah.
something funny in the moment. But then you realize like the key to like a successful comedian's heart is like making them believe they're way funnier than you. And then they'll always want to hang out with you.
Yeah.
It's like the second they think you might be funnier than them, they like want you gone and out of
Yeah,
sight.
yeah.
So it's like, yeah. But I've been there. I've definitely trying to think like I know I've been very awkward in front of a lot of celebrities. So
Yeah.
don't beat yourself up. It happens to all of us, I think.
Yeah, I think everyone has at least one experience like that. It happened with me. I interviewed Chris Jericho like 5, 6 years ago, and I got to meet him maybe like 2 years after that.
Mm-hmm.
Again, same thing. You get like 20 seconds. I think actually like
Right.
maybe about a minute because he was signing. I have a replica Intercontinental Championship, not the one they
Ooh.
have now, but like the
Mm-hmm.
white strap one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And a buddy of mine got it for me like 4 or 5 years ago when I graduated college. And
Mm-hmm.
my goal is to get every former living Intercontinental champion on there.
Oh yeah.
So I've had a
That's awesome.
shit ton of people sign it. Yeah, thanks. And Jericho signed and whatever. But anyway, so I met Jericho and I interviewed him 2 months or 2 years before. So I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
again, one of those things you feel almost obligated to like make that moment matter to them as much as it does to you and make them like remember you. So I'm like,
right.
I talked to you for this website, for like 10 minutes on March 15th, 2015 and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm on Twitter at this, like, blah, blah, blah. Like, he doesn't give a shit. Like,
Right.
a million times today. But it's a moment you'll never forget.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I think someone like Jericho too, it occurs to me, and with Harrison Ford, like their personalities are both like that they're cooler than everyone else in the room.
Yeah.
So it's like they're never gonna give you that moment, even if you nailed something that he was like, I remember. Oh yes. They're always gonna be like, great. Like that's
exactly.
It's just not their brand is just to like be aloof or like not even aloof, but just be like above it or whatever's going on.
Yeah.
So you got to remember that. But oh man, yeah. now my mind is racing to all the people I've been like, do you remember when we did this thing? And they're like, yeah,
like, yeah,
cool.
cool.
Please go move along.
That's $50 for the photo instead of 40, right? Like I need an extra 10 for me. Like, right. Oh yeah, right. My bad. I forgot.
Oh man, my best photo story is with Jake the Snake.
Tell me about that.
At Phoenix Comic-Con. I love Jake the Snake's like heyday. I think was probably the beginning of my watching wrestling, and he was at Phoenix Comic-Con and I was there performing. I was doing stand-up and like I forget some other weird, I think we were roasting a guy dressed as George Lucas was like the other thing we were doing. But anyway, I'm walking the floor and I see Jake the Snake has a booth and it's like $40 or something for a picture. You get an autograph and you get a picture of them. So I had like a very new iPhone that I did not really know how to use and it was like new to smartphones. And so I paid for the picture. And his daughter, I think, is his manager. And like,
oh wow, I didn't know that.
And Jake the Snake at that point was kind of like, I don't know if it was late in the day. He was pretty fried. Like he was just like, hi, like he didn't want to make small talk. So we stand up to take the picture, and we take it. We're both doing like the fighter stance, and then I say thank you very much, huge fan. Walk away, check my phone, picture's not there. So I go back and I'm like, hey, I don't know, the picture didn't take, and so then she's examining my phone to make sure I'm not trying to like scam a second identical photo. Why would I want that? But you know, like, so anyway, so we take the picture again. We're doing this thing again. He's a little less enthused about it, so I walk away. I pull the picture up. It's completely blurry. So I walk back a third time, and I'm like, guys, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to explain this, but like, we got to take one more. So his daughter now at this point is like, my dad is gonna in real life hit you in the face if you come back here again. Like she was, it looked like that. She didn't say that. So I stood next to him. We did it one more time. She took the picture, and it was not great, but it was not bad. So I walked away to that. But it was like, it's one of those things where you're like, I don't know if I should bother him again, but like I did pay $40 for this, so I kind of want this picture to be good. So it's like the like people pleaser in me was like, just go and keep the blurry one. And
I'm
like,
the same way.
You got the picture, but then the like adult consumer in me was like, no, I paid this guy for this picture. Like, how hard is it to just like, let's take one good picture? But so anyway.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I have a feeling Jake the Snake would never remember me if I saw him again. So we'll just keep that memory out of his memory banks, I guess. But
one of those, one of those interactions that you hope that he doesn't remember.
Yeah, exactly. Like
it's so funny that I met him too, and he was like kind of like the same way. He's a good guy, and
he was very nice.
Yeah.
By the way, he was not the problem in this story. My
phone, no, not at all. Yeah.
Circumstances.
Yeah. No, that happens all the time, and I feel like. Now I haven't been to a show in well over a year just due to COVID and shit. But like now I feel like they double check now for stuff like that.
Oh,
like, okay,
yeah, I'm sure.
You got the photo, you like it. Again, I know they have to move the line along, but you want to double check they have the photo. And I know like WWE, have you ever been to a Mania before or no?
No, I haven't. It's on my list of things to do though.
Yeah, it's definitely a must if you're a fan. And I was at Access a couple of years ago. They take the pictures for you and like they give you a code to go like look at it online. It's like HD quality. And
that's smart.
Yeah, it's a smart idea. And for the amount of money you're paying to go to this shit and pay to meet people, like you said, $40 for a picture, it better be good. But you don't want to be like a complainer because you don't want to be that guy, you know?
Right. Well, that's kind of like what I think, like that's like Lou Ferrigno's thing because he's at every convention and he was like ahead of the game. Like he completely micromanages it where like you take the picture on his camera and it like prints out a hard copy for you right there. Yeah. So they're like, you're satisfied with this. Now get out of here.
Yeah, exactly. Especially with like, you know, nerds or wrestling fans or whatever, they're going to want to make that. They're going to go out of their way to get another second picture.
Make a meal out. Well, it's like, like you were saying before, like asking a question at a convention. It's like you get people that will go up there and in their time to ask a question, they'll just deliver a 2-minute statement at the person. like they'll be like, all right, you got a chance to ask Kevin Smith a question, and they'll just go in and pitch them their Kevin Smith movie.
Yeah. So I was born in 95, and this is like all this other stuff. Right, like you said, like a Kevin Smith movie pitch or shit like that. It's like they probably get this so many times in a day. Yeah. You know what I mean? Final 2 questions for you, dude. And we definitely got to do this again because I didn't even get to ask you about the wrestling stuff.
Anytime.
There's so much more I got to ask you. You're such a blast to talk to, but
oh yeah, anytime.
Final two questions for you. One, what's been like the weirdest thing that you've been recognized from? Like someone saw you in the street or whatever, like, oh, I know you from this.
Huh.
That you're like, I didn't even know I was in that like type of
shit. that happens to me a lot where people recognize me from things I'm not in. And it's not me, and it's never a compliment. They're like, hey, God, are you the guy from this thing? And then they'll show me a picture and it's like just a horrific image. And I'm like, no, that's not me, but thank you. I would say like Eagle Eye. I got a message on Instagram from someone who picked me out of the audience of a Snoop Dogg concert.
Yeah.
12 years ago.
What the
that
fuck?
Was on YouTube, and they sent me a screen grab that was like, is this you? Yeah. And I'm like in the second row of the pit of a Snoop Dogg concert.
Oh my
and the
God.
Camera turns around and there's like a very young version of me, like my hands in the air, and I'm like, oh yeah. Shit, how the fuck did you find that? How
the internet never misses anything.
Yeah, like that was crazy. I've done like some like commercials where I've in them for like blink if you miss them, and like people will find that, which I'm just amazed. Like I wish I had that kind of eye where I was taking in an image like that, where I could like be like that person. But yeah, it's usually stuff like that where it's things I like. I mean, the Snoop Dogg thing was bizarre, but like the commercial stuff, the commercial I've been in for a second, like that stuff is usually the ones where I'm like, oh yeah, I was in that. that was me. It was a brief moment, but yeah.
That's so funny. And again, with stuff like it's like almost like an Eric Voss Easter egg video. Like, oh, you caught this, and except it was like 12 years ago, and it's just bizarre. That's so funny. But last question for you. I'll save all the wrestling stuff for a different conversation because I have so much to ask you about that.
Sure.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, thanks, dude. What do you got going on? Where can people find you? I know you're on the Twitter machine at Tommy Bechtold. It's always harder to find you sometimes. I got to give you a follow. I don't actually follow you on Twitter. I don't know why. I actually have to follow you.
Let's do it.
I'm missing out, but you're the Christmas boy on Twitter. I always forget, like, because you're not Tommy Bechtold in like your name.
It's well, I am at Tommy Bechtold, but
yes.
So that's just a moment of belligerency where I think it was like 8 years ago I switched my name to that when everybody was giving themselves Christmas themed names.
Yeah,
and then I just never changed it because I forgot. And then like 2 years in, I was still that, and people started like my friends started making fun of me for it, and I was like, I'll never change it. It doesn't. Yeah. It doesn't mean anything. It's very stupid. But it probably makes me harder to find. I should probably change it just so people can find me. But anyway, what do I got going on? I have new Rockstars stuff coming up, and then I have Eric and Philip and I just launched Epic Hero Fitness.
Forgot to ask you about that. Yeah.
No problem. No, all good. So it's a 12-week fitness challenge that Eric and I are. I mean, we're not really competing against each other. It's way more collaborative. It's kind of about both of us getting in better shape. But there is a competition element so that we can like earn cheat meals, and which is fun and fine. Like but there's no prize for like. I mean, obviously I weigh a lot more than Eric, so I'm gonna lose more weight than him. So there's no prize for weight loss, unfortunately. Because
you get a free pizza on Saturday in the first episode.
I did get to eat that pizza, but I have to say, not to pull back the curtain too much, it was kind of a miserable experience because they're like, you have to eat it on camera, and I'm like, I want to enjoy this on my own. They're like, shove it in your mouth.
Thousands of people watching.
I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
Fine. But what's good for the show is good for me, I guess. But so we got that going on, and then I think everything else that I have has come out. So God willing, some new stuff will happen next time I talk to you. So but yeah, keep checking new Rockstars, and that's what I got.
Awesome. Perfect, dude. Like I said, people can find you on the Twitter machine at Tommy Bechtold. Check out all the new Rockstar stuff. I talk to my girlfriend's brother about it all the time. He's like, did you watch the new Tommy Bechtold video today?
Well, tell him I said thank you.
I will. His name is Dylan. He's a big fan of yours.
Thank you, Dylan. Thank you.
He's a big fan as much as I am. Tommy, dude, thanks so much for doing this, man. I appreciate it. We'll definitely have to do a part 2 in the future.
Yeah, my pleasure, Graham. Anytime. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.